News Now is brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, Docomo Pacific, island-wide, worldwide. The choice is clear. Micronesia Renewable Energy. Go solar for zero money down. And Colgate Optic White. Whiter teeth in 1 week. From broadcast to broadband. News you can trust. From the Pacific News Center in Higatnya, Guam, and broadcasting live in Saipan, here's Clint Rigel and Janella Carrera. PNC Sports with Blake Watson and Rebecca Kim with weather. With your News Now.
Good evening. It's Thursday, October the 9th, and you're watching PNC's News Now. I'm Janella Carrera.
And I'm Clint Rigel. Thanks for tuning in. Topping your news tonight, PNC has obtained yet another high school fight video. But what started out as underground fights is now spilling out into very public venues. Previous fight videos occurred on the rooftop of Kmart, but this most recent video happens right in front of the building near the area where buses pick up and drop off customers. The video starts out with one kid walking in the parking lot of Kmart heading towards another kid who he is about to pick a fight with. He charges the other kid and they immediately begin fighting in broad daylight in a busy public area. Other students can be heard in the background cheering the fight on. The fight happened on the right side of Kmart's main entrance, near the area where the buses drop off and pick up customers and tourists. In fact, tourists can be seen in the background waiting for their bus. Cars can be seen driving by in the parking lot. But the kids keep fighting until one kid is knocked down with a knee. Knee him! The other kid pounces and throws 3 more punches to his downed opponent. And the kid who started the fight now has a hard time getting up. PNC has done several stories on several different high school fight videos that have surfaced on the internet over the last couple of weeks. The Guam Police Department has spoken publicly, warning kids that this is illegal and dangerous. Yesterday, DOE's Deputy Superintendent Rob Millay said they're looking into these cases and are working on a plan to deter this behavior. Today, PNC tried to get a comment from Kmart as several of these fights have been happening on their property. However, we were told to contact their Director of Media Relations, Kimberly Freely, via email. PNC sent an email to her today, but we have yet to receive a response. And Kmart officials may have not responded to PNC's questions due to the time difference between Guam and the U.S. mainland.
It was a court employee who police believe stole drugs from an evidence box at the Superior Court of Guam. Bradley Joseph Taitano Affligwe was working as a data entry clerk at the courts. He was arrested yesterday in connection with drug possession. According to a magistrate report, police contacted Affligwe for an interview regarding stolen meth from the Superior Court. Affligwe then consented to a search of his vehicle where police say they found a small plastic bag containing 0.2 grams of meth. Police say Affligwe denied that the drugs were his. The Attorney General's office did not slap him with any theft charges. However, Affligwe was only charged with possession of a Schedule II controlled substance as a third-degree felony. Acting Court Administrator Josh Tenorio says Affligwe was fired from his job as of today. Tenorio did not say why, but last week he confirmed that 13 grams of ice were stolen from the court several weeks ago at the conclusion of a drug trial.
They finally had a chance to square off. It's the peak of election season as the first debate between former Governor Carl Gutierrez and current Governor Eddie Calvo took place today. The debate was intense as both had their say and both answered tough questions. PNC's Rizal Romanes has more in this report.
Schools. So this idea of throwing out this bullshit that you throw all the time, this got to stop, Governor.
The square-off between former Governor Carl Gutierrez and Governor Eddie Calvo is at its peak, as the first debate this election season between the two took place today at the Rotary Club of Guam meeting. Of course, both gubernatorial candidates made promises to improve our island, but both focused on different issues at the debate. Governor Gutierrez went up first and came out fighting. Gutierrez handed Calvo and everyone else with papers, which he says disproves all of the Calvo administration's claims that try to paint the Gutierrez name as a less credible candidate. He also called out Calvo on several things, with emphasis on favoring family.
It's a shame to understand that you people are continuing to say, oh, this is a great governor. If he controls the economy now by his family business, he controls the media now because of his ownership or control by advertisement money. Continue to allow him to hold that third leg, and you see that there's no transparency in this government. And I'm going to ask him, Governor, have you ever given your family tax breaks, tax write-offs of over $3 million during your term?
Gutierrez pointed out that the economy is so bad under the Calvo administration that people are robbing others and apologizing for it because they can't find a job. He says even after Calvo hired a number of policemen, he doesn't see any on the roads and in our community. Calvo fights back, saying he has made way more improvements for schools, paid tax refunds out on time, caused no hospital shortages, hired more policemen, and decreased unemployment numbers. He also says, unlike his opponent, he is humble.
How are you expected as a leader to follow rules and regulations or the law? And it's 8 years. I'll tell you, when it comes to criminal activity, we can get all the crime statistics, but there's never been a governor to pardon so many criminals in the history of our island than my opponent.
Calvo announced that this is his last campaign and says with the past few years that he served, his motto was always, the people are the boss. Gutierrez, on the other hand, says that if he is governor again, he will make a lot of change and says the bottom line is that he is better for hire. Rosal Romanes, PNC News.
Governor Eddie Calvo and Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio spoke to Guam Community College students as part of GCC's Political Forum series last night. Right off the bat, Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio challenged the notion that former Governor Carl Gutierrez has been more accessible to the public than Governor Eddie Calvo. He pointed to a newspaper clipping of a Chamorro Nation demonstration at Adelup when Gutierrez was governor.
This is a gentleman who was dragged out of the way because he was trying to have a conversation with the governor, wanted to stop him from leaving Adelup, but essentially was blocked and taken away by police officers.
Governor Eddie Calvo spoke about the accomplishments of his administration. He spoke about paying out tax refunds. He also spoke about how he was touched by the people he visited in the Gilbaza subdivision and how happy he was to pave a road leading into their neighborhood.
If you've been at Gilbaza lately, well, that's the ribbon cutting. There's one of those young, beautiful ladies that was in a bus that had to take that 1.5 mile walk. Well, Gilbaza was paved. Now, I know we still have to pave more roads, but I must tell you, and you see it, over the past 3.5 years, there have been more miles of road paved in this island than in the past 15 years.
And Governor Calvo said it was the Gutierrez administration that allowed the substandard living conditions of the Gilbaza subdivision in the first place.
How the heck did the government get these approvals? And by the way, those approvals for Gilbaza and that subdivision started during the term of my opposition. His agencies allowed that subdivision to open. No water line and no sewer line over an aquifer land.
GCC's gubernatorial forum continues this evening. This time, students will hear from former Governor Carl Gutierrez and his running mate, Gary Gumatautau.
All right, well, don't go anywhere when News Now continues. Governor Calvo's proposal to stop projects related to the ORDOT dump closure draws criticism from mayors and the legislature.
And another school break-in highlights the need to move forward with the Secure Our Schools Act. We'll be back with more of your News Now
Blake
PNC
Watson here from PNC
after this.
Sports. Be sure to stick around. The Gigo Jets get grounded in a storm of Cowboys, and we'll add a little light to your evening. I'll explain everything in the sports report.